Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Mega Man 7 now in 2024, just in case you care. We are going to take on Freezeman today, who I do not actually recommend you to take on this early, because he's very hard to bust a duel. I'm going to show you some tricks and tips and so on, but you still have to get used to him. I recommend using his weakness in case you are using these videos as a guide. Now, the stage is slippery, but first let's show off our weapon. You just shoot it, it goes in an arc. If you hold up, it goes up. If you hold down, it leaves a landmine behind. Very versatile already. Just the projectile doesn't really do much. The landmine, however, for some enemies is extremely lethal, really cool. And you can in fact wrap things with danger wrap and throw them back at enemies like this polar bear mini boss here. Really cool. This tends to do a lot of damage. I do want to save up weapon energy, however it's a little bit hungry, so I'm not using it all the time. Anyway, speedrun trick here to avoid an otherwise empty room. Yay! Now, we are seeing the polar bear immediately again, and it's easier because you can just stand on the bottom of that ledge and it will never hit you, as I demonstrated at the start. You can just charge up your buster, remember only 2 damage, not 3, and just shoot upwards. It takes forever, but it's completely safe, so it's like, I don't know. Anyway, danger wrap doesn't work on everything, by the way, it's a little bit awkward. You can kill the shield attacker with it, but I decided to just get on with it. Speaking of shield attackers, also not the best enemy in the world, like they have never been. I like their redesign here with the switching shield and the extra sound effect and so on. Pretty cool, but overall it's still, you know, just more of a hassle than it's worth. I do really like this room, however, the best screen in the game, where you can use items that shoot upwards, that's cool, where you get introduced organically to the crumbling floor in a safe way, that's good level design, and where you can do fun stuff like this using the icicles of the dropper robots, and you can even get them to drop it early by, you know, killing them. This part I don't like, however. If you want to shortcut underneath the shield attacker without killing it, because, you know, I ain't got time for that, then you run smack dab in the second one. It's like punishing you for impatience. I don't know, I don't like it. This letter here is trivial to get, however, the jump is relatively tight and the ice platforms start crumbling unless you jump immediately. And once they have crumbled, they're gone forever, so you only have one chance to get that one. It's not great, I don't like that. Anyway, this is this game's Sniper Joe. This was this game's Sniper Joe. Strongly recommend using danger wrap with its mine function, because it's an annoying enemy otherwise, and this is what special weapons are for. I love it. This jump is really tough. This is the same distance, but you know, just in case you're feeling as insecure as I am about nailing both of them in a row, use Rush Coil. There is no ceiling in this room, and it makes the entire thing quite easy. The bottom route is really tough, by the way. Don't recommend it if at all possible. While we are waiting for Rush to do anything, let's talk about Rush Search, which is what we just picked up, and this is the only place where we can pick it up, so good thing that I came here early, almost like I planned it. Rush Search, as we see here, often doesn't do anything except for a cute animation. Sometimes it finds junk for you. If you use it at the exact correct spot, however, it might just find you a very valuable item. Do I like this? No, and not at all. We're going to see a bunch of uses for him, however, later on, so I don't know. An example of how the landmine function sometimes doesn't work and you need to wrap things up, very complex weapon. I get why people are not using it that often. I could have skipped this room here too, by the way, but just jumping towards the ladder, but I want to show off the one mini-boss that actually has a place here. He can hit you with icicles, new attack from the ceiling, so you have to keep moving left and right, and if you don't have the correct timing, the ice crystal it fires out is also quite hard to avoid. So this is the only reason for it to really exist, like the only mini-boss in this 3 mini-boss containing stage, where I would be like, yeah, that's fine, that's a reasonable setup, where you have to like be in danger and avoid it, and yeah, I don't know, not the best stage, as I said. Why do these bombs scream when they explode, and why do these sleds come out of nowhere all the time? You have to basically pre-charge your buster shots just to have a chance to avoid them. Also not my favorite enemies. As I said, this stage is okay, but it's not great. Also exemplifies a lot about Mega Man 7's level design, where you just have a setup and then a different setup, and then another setup, and you never repeat them. It's very, very weird that they do not follow the typical gimmick structure. They just seemingly throw a bunch of ideas at the wall, and yeah, and then that happens, where you just are surprised by stuff that has never been in the level before. Also, by the way, enemies respawn really quickly. I mean, that's a Mega Man staple, but this particular enemy is also particularly annoying, especially if Rush Search has like a centimeter off and doesn't find what you're looking for. Here it is, the exit unit. Not that big of a fan of hiding something in the ground where maybe a background element was pointing at it, or it costs you 200 bolts just for convenience. Anyway, let's talk about the boss. The boss is much better than the stage. It's really cool. It doesn't do anything except for a nice animation if you don't start the fight yourself. And then it really starts. This guy is by far the most complex boss we have seen in the entire series so far, and boy, does he not pull any punches. As you could just saw, I got obliterated within seconds, and this is the boss that I saw my buddy play way back when I first saw this game, before I even had a Super Nintendo myself. And I was like, how is it possible to beat this? Well, this is how. First of all, he jumps when you shoot. That means that you can goad him into jumping over you. You have to be careful though, because if he's in an animation, he won't do it, as you just saw. It is possible to jump over him, but not if he is cornering himself, basically, like at the end of his run cycle. He has a run cycle, which is a rarity, by the way. That means that you have to be exact with your timing. The icicles from the ceiling are also particularly hard to avoid. You have to basically slide into precisely where the first two have already fallen. So you have to watch out on the top what's happening, and you have to watch out what Freezeman is doing, because he doesn't stop moving. Like, it's really difficult to not get distracted by everything at the same time. He can freeze you with the freeze cracker, as we just saw. He can freeze you at the ground if you don't jump over the ice wave. It's a lot, yeah? And that's why I recommend using Junk Shield. And for all that effort, we are getting what is probably the worst weapon in the game. At least I haven't really found a good use for it. The big problem that Freeze Cracker has is that it just doesn't deal any damage. The idea behind it is quite fine. It's like a fixed metal blade again, where it shoots in various directions, and it has an extra gimmick to it, like Shadow Blade, for example. It doesn't come back, but when it hits a wall, it shatters in multiple directions, almost like we could see Freezeman do when he shot it against the wall as well. But as I said, no damage against barely anything. It's just weird. It's not very useful because of that. But I'm going to try it out anyway. For now, thank you very much for your attention.